Welcome to Your Studio Podcast, sharing strategies for studio owners. Chantelle and Michelle Hunter are co-CEOs of Studio Evolution, an online global community for studio owners who run dance, music, acting, visual arts, yoga, Pilates, even woodworking businesses. Over the last decade, they have transformed the lives of thousands of studio owners, helping them to create wildly successful and profitable studios, giving studio owners the life of their dreams. So welcome home, grab a cuppa, let's get started.
So, guess what we got yesterday?
What?
Bees.
What? Where are the bees? Where are you putting bees?
So my beautiful friend Joyce gave me, for my 40th birthday, a beehive. Is that not the coolest present?
It's the coolest freaking present ever.
Coolest present ever. So it's a native Australian beehive and it's filled with native bees and they don't bite and they don't even look like traditional kind of bees, yellow and black bees, right?
Yeah.
They're like ants. They look like big ants with wings, like kind of normal garden ants.
Yeah.
And we have this really cool little cute little white house with a little colour-bond little grey roof on it.
So where is it?
It's in the backyard.
Like whereabouts in your backyard? Like towards the bush?
Over the creek.
Bit?
Yeah.
Over the creek?
Over the creek. Yeah, so you can kind of see it.
That
But because
so
they don't
awesome.
bite, they're just beautiful. And like the kids sit by the little kind of entrance and like they just have them on their hands.
Stop.
And then you can, it's really cute. And you can flip the lid back and there's got a Perspex kind of plastic cover. So you can actually see into the honeycomb and watch them build it. So right now our hive has come with only 50% built and you're watching them every day build the structures up. And then on top, it's got a jar. So this particular design of hive is like the least invasive for the bees. And so
that's cool.
You can unscrew this honey pot and they've built the honeycomb into the jar.
Oh,
right?
stop.
And then you just undo the jar and then you put a teaspoon in and you can collect the honey without damaging any of... Isn't that great?
That is amazing. I thought you were going to go down the route of like you were going to start collecting honey. I was like, have you named your honey? Because a lot of people name their honey.
Of course, I live in Beecroft. So there's a lot of bees in Beecroft. Right? But we actually do have proper hives too. We have them next door. We have them next door. We have two big hives. We collect about... So this one in the back, the new one that we've got, the native, is going to give us about 1 kilo of honey a year.
What?
But we get about 8 kilos from the other hives. Super cool.
Funny story. Back in the day when I worked at corporate, the managing partner of the firm had a beehive and then he's like, I've got a really important big project we're going to work on this afternoon. I was like, yeah. He's like, it's huge. I want you to clear your schedule. You're going home late tonight. I was like, oh, gosh, wow. Okay, well, must be someone flying in. Takes me into a boardroom that was attached to his office, sits me down and goes, right, and throws labels at me. I was like, what are we doing? He's like,
What are we doing here?
I need you to design the stickers for my honey jars because he loved beehives as well. And he had all these beehives. And that was his dream. He wanted to just bottle honey and sell it. That was actually quite hilarious. But it's
high-powered accountant.
Yeah,
dreaming of being a beekeeper.
And it's actually quite relaxing. Like he even said, like when he used to go out, put the white suit on, and just like would go out there and be with them. He said it was like a form of mindfulness for him watching the bees.
I mean, I'm not there for that.
Because you have the perspective thing, you're like, oh, this is very relaxing.
I'm not at the stage of beekeeping yet where I've got the white suit and the smoke. I'm not there yet.
You are
I have
one
a
with
lovely
nature,
man
though.
named Peter. Peter, I'm so grateful for Peter. He comes and he does all the harvesting and then I just get delivered jars of honey in passata jars.
Oh, that's so good.
It's my dream.
Oh, that's so cool.
We go through a lot of honey. I love honey.
Yeah, my kids love honey too. That's so good to know. Oh, that's a great 40th present, a beehive.
Oh, it was so exciting. So exciting. So next time you come over, I'll get you a spoon. We'll go over and we'll get you some native Australian honey.
I was stung by a bee 3 weeks ago and got cellulitis. So I don't know.
You were.
And my doctor said...
sensitive, things like this, am I?
She's like, don't know how. She said the bee sting must have had staph or strep on it. I was like, I don't understand.
You don't want to know where that bee had been before. Dead dogs.
Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, probably.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Your Studio podcast. It's Michelle Hunter here and my work wifey, Chantelle And today we have an awesome podcast episode we wanted to dive into. and it's all about finding your unicorn. And we're not talking about the one you ride, is it, Chantelle?
Look, my best friend says that you cannot travel more than 1 square meter in my house without coming across a unicorn. I've got a 6 and 4-year-old, so unicorns are life. But in this particular episode, we're going to let that to the side, and we're going to talk about finding the team members that change your life. Honestly, the team members that come into your business and they absolutely transform the whole fabric of this studio you run.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's a hard process, but I'm assuring you studio owners out there that there are people out there that want to work with you and want to do the good work in your studio. And all you got to do is just have the right process in place to do it.
We've got a voicemail from Stacey, one of our listeners of the Your Studio podcast, and she's got a little message about finding covers.
At our studio, we're really struggling to have an active covers list. So when teachers are off sick or away and need a class covered, we have a covers list that's almost double, if not nearly triple the size of the number of teachers we have. And we still struggle to get our classes covered. So any advice you have on that would be really helpful.
It's a good question. It's a really good question. And where my mind kind of goes is like that is an issue that's happening in the business. But for me, it's like, okay, if we look one step back and actually like what is the bigger issue here in the business that we need to resolve? And because what I'm hearing is like if this is a significant issue that your kind of core teachers are off quite a lot, that's actually what I want to resolve. I want to get to a place where you're not having to reach for covers on a regular basis. Yeah. And that comes from this whole topic of really being intentional around who you're hiring. Yep. Now, you and I know, friends listening at home, that getting good quality team is tough, right? Hiring the right team members who are invested and reliable and a delight to work with is not the easiest thing in the world. Right, Michelle?
Oh, it is a common thread that comes up in Studio Evolution and even in The Leap when we're chatting with our studio owners and team. And it can affect a lot, Chantelle. And sometimes it can just like slowly the reins start to loosen. And then it's something so easy. When the studio owner's wearing all the hats, doing all the things, it can just like loosen. And then they're big problems.
The wheels come off. Yeah. And then you'll put kind of like, so then like, oh God, I've got to hire someone right now. Like I'm desperate. I'm up to my eyes in work. I need someone to come on as teachers or things like that. So you like chuck a job description out there. You get some kind of input. You're like, oh, this person's great. Fabulous. Wonderful. Can you start tomorrow? Yeah. And there's this kind of like desperation when it comes to it, particularly for those in rural areas. It is tougher, right? You haven't got the population size to have your pick of the bunch. So we need to be really strategic here because you and I know that what is the number one thing we need if we want to grow our businesses? Michelle, this is a pop quiz for you. What's the number one thing we need? I'm going to put you on the spot. It's the number one thing we need to grow our studio.
I'm like totally
I'm totally been a bitch. Retention.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the foundation of profitability. You know, when you put me on the spot like that with pressure, it's like
I'm so horrible to you.
I could give you 6 things that we do. Pay data strategy, more time working on the business. Come on. Solid team, right-hand person. I'm like,
I'm so sorry. It was funny. The panic in your eye was horrible. So retention, right? If we don't have retention, we haven't got capacity in classes, we haven't got word of mouth happening, we haven't got profitability happening, we haven't got kind of enough work for the team to grow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For me, the kind of number one thing is retention. And if we haven't got really good teachers who are really good at retention, you're kind of screwed as well. You're kind of screwed.
And it's really looking at that from that different lens. And you know, as you're growing your team, some of us don't really look at it like that, but it's the bread and butter. They're in there every day. They're the ones communicating with your students, sometimes more than you. That's the reality. Yeah. That's the reality of the situation. So they really need to be, they really need to be brought into the business and onboarded with that in mind, and really, you know, on board with what your studio is all about and a great fit.
Yeah, it's really true. So what we thought we would do with you today is talk about how to hire a unicorn.
Yep.
And how to just tweak your hiring process to get better quality people working for you. And I thought we would tell the lovely story of the day that I met my unicorn. Shall we do that?
Nice. Is that what they do? Do I sound like a unicorn?
Do it again.
Nay.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You do. I was hoping you would neigh, but I wasn't going to ask you because I've already kind of put you on the spot.
I've made it. Oh no, I've made it in my career.
You made it. So
Nate on a
anyway,
podcast.
back in the day.
Yeah.
2016, right, Michelle? 2016?
Oh, yes, 2016.
I was hiring for an executive assistant, and I have a very, very particular hiring process, which I'm going to teach you today. We're going to walk you through. Anyway, so I've been kind of putting this big job description out. Like, I'm looking for an executive assistant everywhere. I kind of like put it on the job websites, emailed it out to my database, talking to people, working the network, you name it. I'm looking for an EA. Anyway, so I found this wonderful woman in Perth, and she was like a whiz. And I was like, this is going to be great. And we'd been through the whole in-depth application process, which I'm going to talk to you about. Anyway, then at Friday at like 5 p.m., I get a Facebook message from one of my clients called Fee. And Fee says, hi, I've got this. My sister is really brilliant, and she's kind of interested in the role. And would you be kind of keen to can I send over her CV? I was like, oh, Fee, I'm so sorry. Like, I've kind of closed off applications, but look, send it through and I'll have a look. And in my head, I'm like, it's like your sister's great. Like, everyone thinks that their sister is great.
We've all know that person that says, hey, I've got a friend, or my sister, or so I could just imagine what you were thinking at that point.
All right, send her over. Anyway, I opened the CV and I'm like, holy shit, this is a person. This is like, your sister is next level. And so I think that was on the Friday, right?
Friday.
Monday, yes. Over the weekend, we were kind of talking a little bit, and we did I did the hiring process. On Monday, I think I offered you the role.
Yeah.
It was very quick.
Wednesday morning, you were on my doorstep.
I flew interstate to meet her.
Flew interstate, and by lunchtime, my 6-month-old first child you were bouncing him on your lap while we were doing launch planning for the next year. It is crazy. It is crazy.
It was amazing. And again, like holding out for that person, you're like, yes, this is the level of business that we're operating at. This is the type of person I want to be surrounded with. It's that old saying, right? It's who you have that matters. It really is. And when you find the right people who are from an admin or a teaching perspective, your life just becomes so much easier. So Michelle came on board, and you started as 20 hours a week.
20 hours a week. Yep.
Yeah. Executive assistant. And then you moved into operations manager.
Yep.
And then you moved into general manager.
Correct.
And then last year you became a business partner with me.
Yeah.
Best decision after marrying my husband ever.
Yeah. the best decision. And it's been really such an amazing ride, Chantelle. And what's so interesting, my experience as the user or going through the hiring process, from the beginning, how you kind of structured that hiring process, which we still use till this day, and that you teach our clients. You haven't changed that process since day dot, 8+ years ago. As someone going through it, I was like, from reading how you constructed that job description, I was like invested. I wanted in. I was stalking you. it was shut, guys. And I mean, found
you do have stalking skills.
That's a superpower. We don't need
if
to
you
go
have
down
an
the
ex-boyfriend, if you have an ex-boyfriend and you want dirt,
DM us. I can. When I'm sitting with a bowl of ice cream on a Wednesday night, I'm your gal. But going through that process, I wanted in so bad, right? I got every kind of like external email address I could find, send you new things. And as I went through the process, which we're going to go through in a second, there was really an opportunity, and you'll explain a bit more in a second about skill set. And there was one program that in particular that you were using at the time that I didn't have any experience, but I was like, give me till Monday and I will know that whole software inside out. Because that's how badly I wanted, to be a part of the vision and the mission of the business. So
I remember you even bought a Mac because you found that I was a Mac girl and you're a PC girl. And you're like, well, if I'm going to be an EA, I'm going to be on the same software as her.
I'm going all in.
You were all in, and you had a 6-month-old. It's wild.
I had a 6-month-old. I was all in. But it's because I was, I really saw the vision and the mission. And hey, look at us 8 years later. Like, I knew what was coming and I could see the impact that the company was making. And I didn't want to work in corporate. I wanted to be in a company that was making a difference. So let's take them through that process, because this process weeds out hundreds of applications. I have seen it time and time again. It's a winning process.
So this process is called How to Hire a Unicorn. And before we dive in, I do want to do a massive shout out to Fee, who is your sister, who also now is on the home team. So she actually kind of works with us too. So massive gratitude to Fee for bringing your sister into my world. It's changed my life. So very grateful to you. So here's the philosophy, right? Most job descriptions we see for studio owners are around about less than 1 page, right? They'll have a bit of an intro, looking for this role, some bullet points, some kind of logistical details. Send me your CV. I think I just swallowed a bug.
Okay, water.
I did. I just swallowed a bug.
Oh, just think of all the protein.
Michelle, not helpful.
I'm trying to...
Disgusting. Oh, well, we'll be fine. We'll proceed. Disgusting.
Good old Chantelle grills just here.
One with nature. What was I saying? Oh, so, okay. So the higher level
podcast. Holly, we're sorry.
So the intention of this process is to be a little bit polarizing, right? You want to create a job description that people are going to read it and do one of two things. The Michelle Hunters are going to be like, yes, I want to work for that company. I see where they're going. I see their vision. It's meaningful. This is not just kind of a monkey job, right? No, This actually has heart and guts, and I want to kind of get involved in this. And other people are going to be like, it sounds like a bit too much hard work. I'm not into that. I'm out.
Yep.
And they won't even apply. You want to bring enough detail and enough depth into this hiring process that there is a much more of an emotional response from those who are applying. We're also going to make them work much harder than you may have in the past. I'm not interested in getting sent a CV.
Yeah.
Not interested. If you want to come and work for our company, you're going to bring your heart, and I want to get to know you, not just like just generic sending a PDF. Not interested in the slightest. So my recommendation is that your job description itself is going to grow to around about 3 to 4 pages long. That's how much detail we're actually going to provide about your company, about the vision, the mission of what you do in your studio, what this company cares about delivering to its students. We're actually going to tell a whole lot more information about why this role matters and what the role is going to be doing, and also how success will be measured is one of the sections. So we're kind of talking about not only this is what you're going to do, but this is how we're going to be ensuring you're kind of performing at your best. Yep. So, it's not just about managing the email inbox or teaching a class. It is going to be about actually curating 85% retention rate with our student body to ensure that we have very, very stable, solid retention in the studio. And that's how your success is going to be measured, right? So that's super important, right, Michelle? Like, really building out the job description is one of the biggest mistakes studio owners make all the time when it comes to hiring.
100%. Putting down what's being measured is also important, but actually like the specifics of the role of like what they do. I think sometimes we've even seen in these position descriptions of like what an average day looks like. It's so important because, you can have expectations of what a role is, but unless you have clearly defined the ins and outs and who you're reporting to and how you're being measured, you don't really get that big sense, because you've got the big picture, you've got the impact and the vision, but then those details are very important as well. And then the next stage is like, how do we know? Because you can send in your CV and say, yeah, I can do that. But how do you really know, Chantelle, if they can do that?
It's incredibly important that we actually get a sense for them. So one of the things that we teach and that we personally do for our hiring process here at Studio Evolution is that we ask them to complete an application. So yes, they will send in their CV, but I'm actually more interested in how they answer some criteria questions. So those questions will be give us an example of a time when you. So you might say, or what's important to you, or kind of, what experience have you had in doing this particular specific thing? And you might relate it to your mission. You might relate it to one of your values for your studio. You might give them opportunity to really share about a bit about themselves, like bring their personality in. And the application process is in addition to sending the CV. So we're not just going to get the low-level CV. We're going to actually ask them to complete an application form. And that document, my goodness, isn't it clarifying?
So clarifying. So this document in the questions also has, send through a 2-minute video, a link to a 2-minute video so we can know more about yourself. And it's fascinating, Chantelle, when we have put job descriptions out in the past and the big position description, and then we've put in writing at the bottom, in order to be successful for this application, please, for this job role, please fill out this application. And that application is takes you off the site, has all these questions that just Chantelle went through, and sometimes asks them to submit a video. And it's fascinating that you've had 200 people send through the CV and then it weeds it down to like 20 people who have actually done the application and kind of their welcome getting to know them video. You've just gone through, you've cut away a lot of the weeds straight away.
Can you follow basic instructions? No. Thank you for demonstrating that before I've invested any energy into proceeding with hiring with you. So great.
So great. And those people that have submitted an application interview, like that's probably what we get, like the 10%. They are outstanding. You've got a hot list right there. I don't think we've ever gone through a recruiting process, gone from like educators to admin support to like managing positions. When we've come down to that hot list of people who actually follow the instructions and the actual application, all of them have been pretty outstanding.
Oh, right. And the videos are so powerful because you can actually get a sense of them before you actually bring them into the studio. And again, this is just about efficiency of your time. It takes a huge amount of time for you to interview someone and, set up the kind of communications of like when we're going to meet, how we're going to do it, get on the phone, versus they're sending this beautiful application in and then they're doing a video and they're talking direct to camera, just like casually on their phone. Or some people go like way over the top, right, Michelle? We've got some good examples.
I remember when we recruited for an operations assistant and one of our tagline, because, we have like a, really good homely vibe, in our team is called the home team. And one of our pre-headlines was, you like cake, we're probably the dream team for you. And one of the videos, she had like cakes. It was just brilliant. And it just got a sense of her personality. And then when I actually came to her first interview, not her third or fourth, and interviewing 100 people, I already felt like I had a connection. She already felt like she knew us as a team because she was already like sparkly eyes, like, oh my gosh, I want to hear more. I'm just so honored to have this interview because they already got a sense of our vision, our mission, what we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like if someone's going to put the time and effort into recording a video, they want the job.
Yes.
So you're already kind of establishing. And what's important about that is that you are holding your studio as a destination that's worthy of someone wanting to come and work out, right? This is the shift. You're not, it's like kind of that shift of, I just need some help. I just need someone to come and work with me and I'll take whatever I can get. So the worthiness of you as the business is kind of just like, please help me, right? No, we're shifting away from that. And we're instead becoming to a place that's really centered in, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is what we're creating in the world. If you'd like to join us in this, here's how to be part of it. And what that does is it elevates your business to such a strong level that people are like, yeah, I want that. So we're going to be eliminating and changing the entire relationship people have with coming into your business. In fact, we have had that many people, new hires, say to us that our hiring application process has been like the best that they have ever been through in terms of how much they made them want the role and understand about the company. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, and we've got onboarded, worked with a lot with the team, and it is a real foolproof process. And just going back, Chantelle, what you just said about like changing the relationship, we have a lot of studios, and we saw this at one of our in-person events this year, who was saying like, who would want to come for a teaching role here at this regional area? And we did a bit of work on that, relationship and worth. And when we rewrote that job description with them in that intro, it was like, yeah, people do want to come to this area to be teachers because of what you offer.
Yeah. And again, it's kind of connecting, like, if your mission is to become a leading regional dance or Pilates or kind of music studio, you can really start to raise the level of what you're doing in your business. And that's going to attract a higher quality of unicorn into the studio. And, even small studios, just putting a bit more time and effort into your job applications, job descriptions, is going to create so much more desire for the role. But that desire, when they come through the door, it's like they want to be there. And that's what you want. You want team members who want to be there, because otherwise what's the point, right? And if you're finding that your current team members are a bit flaky, they're not kind of showing up as much. You need covers all the time. Like for me, it's like, okay, well, where's the unicorns here?
Yeah.
Like, where are they? I can see horses. I don't see enough unicorns. And if you're having that problem on a frequent basis, maybe we need to look at elevating who we are hiring in the business.
Yeah. And look, and it can be scary when you are faced at an intersection where a lot of your team might be, you're needing a lot of covers from the core team. It can be daunting to think, oh, I have to do a core team shakeup, but it can, and we're not saying burn it all down and get rid of anyone, right? But even making that change with like one person can make a dramatic difference to how covers are run and the team.
The other thing I wanted to mention that is game changing in terms of hiring, and this is probably my favorite section of this whole application process. Yeah. And know that for everyone who joins Evolution, we literally give you all the templates. So we give like administration and teaching job description templates. We give the application process. We give kind of all the structure of how this flows, right? So that's all kind of included. I've written them. But there's one part that is my favorite, and it's called the tasking. So let's say you have got down to your shortlist. Like you've got a couple of people like, yep, these are strong contenders, and you're in a fortunate position of choosing between. Sometimes the best way to actually find out who is the better fit is to get them doing a little bit of pre-work. So one thing we do, let's say you're hiring for an admin assistant for 5 or 10 hours a week, right? And you've got 2 people that you're considering. What I would do is I would go through your inbox and I would find a really crunchy customer service email, like one where a student is asking for a refund, or they are not happy with something you have provided. Like give them like a horrible customer service email that's been like awful for you to have to write back to. That makes you cringe. And I would give them that email and then ask them to respond. Like, how would you reply back to this email? And then maybe get them, going to your website and finding, can you find 3 things that could be improved to enhance the consumer experience on our website? And see what they come back with. See how they think.
Yeah, it's actually a really eye-opening experience. And it's actually a process which you might realize that this person has talents that you were not. We did this, remember? We went out to hire an ops assistant, and one of the questions was if you could name 3 things in our website, and he wasn't successful for that application, but we found that like his kind of like automation coding skills were through the roof, and we actually ended up rehiring him as a tech implementation, a different role, and it will just bear so much fruit when you follow that process.
Because it was interesting, even for when I was hiring you, Michelle, I remember really clearly that that's where you excelled. So I had both these kind of, you and this woman in Western Australia, and I sent this email out, and it was just night and day. And I remember one of the things that you said, Michelle, that was like, oh, it sold me so much. You said that as an EA, you wanted to be able to mimic my voice. Like, what was it? What's your kind of language around that? Like you wanted to mirror, maybe? I
wanted to mirror your voice and then be able to, via email, communicate and speak like you, how your tone and your values.
So Michelle wanted to write like me, and I was like, oh my God, could you help me do that? Thank you so much. And you did that so successfully. And it's just, it's awesome when you have someone who has that capacity and who can think and is invested. Who knows, you might hire an EA and they might become a co-owner with you one day. You never know. You
never, ever know where your unicorn is. But yeah, the process is tried, it's tested. We have followed it through so many times in our own business, and we've seen hundreds of studio owners go through this process and find their unicorns. And it's not for it's not just for admin. This is admin, teaching team, costume, designers in the studio. It goes across the whole scope of studio business.
And look, if you've got, I'm speaking to Stacey here with the voicemail, if you have a big giant pool of casuals, but they're not, I would actually kind of invite them to go through this full application process and do some sort of kind of, really invite them to apply. Thank you. If you'd like to be on a casual pool, this is the process, and actually kind of weed it down and we'd be looking for more availability. this is all about worth, like
Yep.
really holding like who you believe in and what you want to be, and being really more intentional about your expectations. Have higher boundaries, communicate more expectations of, you'll be required to come to this many team trainings, or kind of engage, like this is going to be the availability required. The more you can state like, this is what it is, really clear, really black and white, and not kind of like just like, oh, sure, I can pay you more, or yeah, that's okay. Like you'll be earning like 3 times as much as I earn, but like, that's okay. Like, don't worry, you're worth it type thing. Like the more you hold of like, this is the rate,
Yep.
and these are the days that are required, you build the team around what the business needs, as opposed to kind of building the business around who's available. And when you get that shift in your heart, we see dramatic transformation in your business. It's awesome to watch.
It's the best. It's the best. And it makes us happy. It makes us happy when you find your people and you find your unicorns.
It does.
It's really great. When we meet studio owners and they've got that solid and they have that support behind them.
That's how you get freedom, right? Because you can be taking some time off over the summer as a studio owner, and you've got someone there is going to be dealing with inquiries. Like that's when you get to that point of you have someone you trust and who's really on board. You can do what you do best, knowing that the admin side of the business is being taken care of. And you've also got really good quality teachers in the classroom maintaining your retention. It goes both ways. We need really good quality in the classroom and outside. It's what we need.
That's what we need.
So thank you, Unicorn. I'm so grateful to you.
Oh, it's been the best. It's been the best ride ever.
Super fun.
Oh, that was a big one, friends, today.
So friends, if you would like to join us in Studio Evolution and get access to all of the tools, not just on kind of hiring, but across the entire board, from profitability, retention, systems, marketing, Studio Evolution is the most comprehensive high-level program for studios out there. And it will be life-changing in terms of the freedom you have, the ease with which you run the business, and the joy you bring into the lives of others. So if you go to studioevolution.com/apply, you can fill in a little application process, tell us a little bit about your business, and we can find out if your joining Studio Evolution is a good fit for you. Thank you, friends. Well, we're going to be joining you back for another episode of Your Studio Podcast very soon. If you have not yet subscribed to the pod, do so. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, we love receiving them. So go over into the show notes, click the link, leave us a voicemail, and we'll feature you coming up really soon.
Bye.
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 Love what you hear? Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and leave us a review. Interested in working with us and want to find out more about how we can help you? Head to studioevolution.com/start.